Hey guys, Jen with Astro T here. Today we're talking about the third and final square with Mercury and Uranus that is taking place on the 7th. We also have Mercury moving into Virgo on the 9th. Shortly after, the Sun is going to be in opposition to Saturn, and then Mercury sextile to Mars that's now in Cancer. Yay. And that's on the 11th. So Mercury is now out of its retrograde period and it's in its post shadow period. So this is like what we've learned and how we're going to use this to moving forward. So, and that is until the 11th. So I'm going to just kind of encompass everything that's happening within that time frame. So I thought doing a look back into what we learned about this retrograde is, how we're going to take this information to look ahead and see how kind of astrology predictions are formed in that way. This is a great way to start predictions and start kind of learning how to look back to be able to look forward. So you always want to see what happened during a past aspect to see how it's going to affect you in a future way. So on a national level, we have seen this retrograde happening during key election moments here in the United States. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Not totally though. We're going to kind of try and keep it a little bit general. So the main aspect that happened during this cycle was the Mercury Uranus square. So again, this is the third of three. So this aspect happened first when Mercury was going direct, and then again made the square when it was going in its retrograde motion, and now it's doing it the final third time in its post shadow period on the 7th. So in order to predict how the third is, you might want to look back on how the first two affected yourself maybe, or society in general. So a Mercury Uranus square will be sure to bring some unexpected news, because this is Mercury, and then Uranus, that's unexpected things, unexpected happenings, sudden or dramatic, unusual opportunities perhaps, or ideas might come to you. So something like just out of the blue, something totally different coming into your mind, or sudden dramatic changes. And that could be happening in your life or around you. Because Mercury and Uranus, this is, news, and this is sudden surprises. I would really expect issues also with Mercury. It's around technology, and Uranus as well. So due to what we saw during the first two squares, not really going to come as much of a surprise since we know what happened with those squares. So to predict, or at least to try and predict, because predicting anything with Uranus involved is almost near impossible. But we can try from the third square. We have the first two giving hints as to what we have to look forward to. So at the first square, to remind you again, we had the surprise that was Biden dropping out as the Democratic candidate in the U.S. election, and he endorsed Kamala Harris. And this was all done, via X, or what used to be known as Twitter, and that is just a classic, Mercury Uranus kind of thing. We also had the CrowdStrike outage affecting airlines and other computer glitches that were really all around the world. That was pretty significant. Now that was in the pre-shadow period. So then with the second, during the actual retrograde, Mercury retrograde, we had RFK dropping out of the race, and then he went and endorsed Trump. So something just almost exactly the same, but a flip. Kind of a flip from one to another. We also saw glitches in the big X interview with Trump and Musk, having a big long interview. So again, a lot of things going on with this X profile, or whatever you call that, the social media, so X or Twitter, of what it used to be called. So, and that also, we had hacks into the Harris-Trump campaigns. So these might not have been quite so shocking, because we kind of saw it coming with kind of what happened before. In retrograde, it's going back in retrospect. So if you look at, what happened, it's going back in retrospect and trying to fix that and then move forward. So they're two very similar bombshells and disturbances, I think. So I would expect some other surprising news to come out with the election campaigns, more internet hacks, crashes, etc. So who knows what this could be, because I don't know if anyone else is going to drop out or anyone else is going to do some huge endorsement or something like that. I don't know. But this is all happening around the time of the debate, which is on the 10th. So all kind of surrounding that. So I expect a lot to come out during that debate that might change people's minds, surprise people, might, make you lean one way or another way or something, or some unexpected or surprising revelations. So you also want to look, though, at the nuances, because this isn't going to be exactly like the other ones, because the other planets are doing other things. So we have, those energies from the other planets that are going to add that extra layer to change it up a little bit. So it's not going to be exact to what we've seen, but, similar vibes, I think. So, so we have Mercury in and applying sextile to Mars. So this will be working towards exact during the debate on the 10th. So Mercury is moving into Virgo on the 9th. So this is a lot of that. The Mercury sextile Mars gives us a keen and quick wit. So that is what people need when they are going in for a debate, because you need to be able to think fast, think on your feet, and be able to kind of verbally almost not attack, but we will probably see that verbal attacking of each other because of that Mars, that sharpness, that quickness, that that Mercury quickness that really just makes our minds just really sharp, so that we can have quick comebacks, which I am really not good at. So maybe that'll change this next week. So this will really help both candidates in the debate. I don't think it'll really help or hurt either. I think it probably will help them both because it is a sextile, but just how much it will help them will really depend on the aspects to their own personal planets or angles in their own natal charts. So we'll take a quick little look at that in a bit. So other factors that are going on with this Mercury Uranus square are the Sun in opposition to Saturn. So this is really about your drive and your convictions and the work you put in and being brought into the spotlight. So how much work did you put in, and how are you going to be brought into the spotlight? Kind of get that what you deserve, that destiny that you're going for. How are you going to be able to bring that out? Did you put a lot of work in? Saturn is about putting in the work and you get what you deserve. And so we'll see if you have Saturn in really good aspects, or if you have Saturn in a prominent place in your chart, then that could really help you out. So, and of course, if this is going on in your 10th house, you could be really, getting that promotion at work or something, or really getting that recognition that you feel like you deserve because of all the hard work you put in. So at this time, we are going to need to use these aspects in unison to really stand out. So it's, to want to be the adult in the room. You want to have that maturity, that sophistication, because that is that Saturn. And if we show that responsibility, then we are going to get what we deserve. You want to be that person that others can feel they can look up to, someone who can use that Mercury-Mars sextile to really push them over the top. And with that Mercury-Uranus square, it could happen very quickly. It could be a sudden shock or surprise, a sudden maybe promotion or something to that effect, depending on where, again, this falls in your chart. I feel this won't be as we expect it. So of course, Uranus has to throw that wrench in there and make things a little bit maybe unexpected, different than we thought. So I would be prepared for that, especially if you have this happening on your angles. If you have it on your ascendant, your MC, or even in your on your descendant, could be in relationships. You know, what did you work for in your relationship? So we'll see how that works out. But keep in mind, things might change rapidly and quickly, but that Mars sextile to Mercury will help you get over those stumbling blocks which Saturn can sometimes put in your way. We also have Venus, Lilith, and the South Node in Libra. So we see this all right here. So that is a lot of feminine energy right together, and they are in a conjunction of that feminine dark side almost, in that karma. So, you know, what are we bringing in, or what are we falling back on? What is that karma with that little dark side of ourselves? And it's kind of a feminine dark side. It can be a male or female, that can happen too, of course, but I would expect it more in that femininity because of all that feminine energy happening right there. So that's all just hovering in Libra and really going to balance the scales. So I find this really extremely interesting to add that little extra layer in there, and just likely further stirring that pot and really just getting things bubbling. So when looking at this in a predictive way, you want, again, to look back before looking forward. So as far as with our candidates, did the first Mercury Uranus squares hurt them in any way? Because if they did, then I would expect it to hurt again, especially if it hurt with it going direct and then, you know, with it going retrograde. So I think that both, you know, having the other candidates drop out and endorse them, I think it affected them in both positive ways. Now, Kamala Harris, that was during when Mercury was going direct, so it could benefit her a little bit more. And so maybe they'll both be positively, but I think hers might be a little more positive. And then, but again, of course, Uranus is that wild card, so you just don't know. Then we want to look back at the charts or we want to look at the charts of the candidates to help predict who, you know, we think will win this debate. So Trump has Mercury conjunct natal Mars. He will be mentally on point because that Mercury conjuncting his natal Mars, I think he'll be extra aggressive almost with his tone. Not that he isn't normally aggressive, but it doesn't necessarily have to be in a bad way, but I think he'll be really up for the fight and up for the challenge, mentally very ready to spar. And that is happening in his 1st and 10th house. So these are on both of his angles. So that, I think, is very strong. And Uranus is still on his MC. And yes, during one that did get him almost shot, but he did also, you know, get away unscathed. So we'll see how that works out, you know. So Uranus could be a positive planet for him. Jupiter is conjunct his natal Uranus and conjunct his North Node and his Sun. So the feminine group is conjunct his Chiron. So he does have that weakness around, I think, a lot of with women and with women's rights perhaps, and we do already see that, so that's really not a shock there. But this is in his 3rd house, so I feel like also, you know, communication wise, he could get dirty with the attacks on Kamala Harris's character. Again, not really a big shock there. Or it could come back at him. So, you know, as this could be his weak spot. So that's what I'm seeing with Trump's chart. As far as Kamala Harris's chart, she has the square in her 3rd and 12th houses. So it's not on the angles. But Uranus is close to conjunct her Jupiter. So that is a surprise boost. So a surprise like uptick or whatever. So something that's going to be a big, you know, I think something that's going to expand with her. Could be her popularity, who knows. The Sun-Saturn opposition is a bigger factor. I feel it's in her 4th and 10th house, so it's on her angles, her MC and IC axis. So, and it's also conjunct her Chiron. So her Chiron is in there too. Hers is in her 10th house. That's her weaknesses in her reputation, perhaps, activated by, could be a sharp fall. And then because also the sun is conjunct Pluto, the sun down in her 4th house, the transiting sun is conjunct her natal Pluto, Uranus, and Venus. So it's activating perhaps a really sharp fall, but a surprise rise out of the ashes. So I think that she will take hit, but I think that she'll be able to come out pretty much unscathed. And I see this debate is going to be full of fireworks. I see that Trump most likely will be, saying that he won the debate, but I think she'll be able, Kamala will be able to rise, unlike Biden did in his debate, because that's that Pluto, that rising from the ashes, that sudden knockdown. But she could come back from it, where Biden, unfortunately for him, didn't. As far as on a personal or mundane level, I would expect women to be a key factor. Rebellious women, rebellious and very strong in their femininity and strong in what their needs are and what their wants are. And in general, wanting what is meant for them and ready to fight for their rights. So we already see this starting, and we see a lot of different areas of in women's rights and women's sports, even all kind of starting to bubble. So I think that that's going to really kind of be a key point in all of this. Because it's getting ready, our minds are on point, so we are getting ready to fight for what we've worked for. And don't let that Saturn opposition hinder you. You want to push through those inner blocks, and you want to succeed. So that is kind of my predictions of what's going to happen. We'll see. I'm not really predicting who's going to win or who's going to lose, but I think that we wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of that. So let me know your comments and your thoughts. Please like the channel and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. We got lots coming up to talk about still, and let's grow together. And I will see y'all soon. Bye.